Welcome to the Golf Parent.
What you say?
I've got a question here. Is there such a thing as a straight putt? And if so, at what distance is a straight putt? So to phrase it a different way, is there such a thing as a straight putt past like 6 feet or 8 feet? Like, does that exist? Or is every putt going to be breaking one way or the other a little bit?
There is technically straight putts outside 6 or 7 feet, but they're double breaking straight. They tend not to be laser straight, right? They tend to be a little bit left, a little bit right. So it's what we call straight aim, which is not the same as a straight putt. A straight putt means there's no side tilt at all. Yes, those happen on shorter putts. They're much less likely to happen outside about 7 feet. You tend to get these little wiggly straight aim putts on longer putts. They're not impossible, but they're where it actually rolls laser straight. Most people assume there has to be break. There doesn't have to be break, but there's a very thin line above and below the hole where you would actually aim dead straight at the hole. So typically there will be some kind of break. It might not be a lot, but it's pretty rare where it's absolutely a dead straight aim outside 7 feet, I'd say.
Interesting. Okay, so we've got the system, which is, I mean, we don't have the system, but what I'm piecing together here is that most of what I've been doing, and most of what most people are doing right now, is irrelevant. What's important is to at least get an idea if it's going uphill, downhill, and then get your feet around that middle part of the green. What am I doing there? Am I facing the hole? Am I flipping around? Does it matter? And am I just kind of feeling out with my feet? And then how do I take that information and then get back to the ball and do something about it?
Yeah, you're trying to figure out the side tilt, right? So the ball breaks because it's tilted laterally, it's tilted sideways. How much tilt there is affects how much it breaks, right? So the more side tilt you get, the faster the ball breaks. So break at a fundamental level is very simple. It's how much tilt sideways and how long is it rolling for. So you take the amount of side tilt basically, and you're not actually multiplying, but just think of it as multiplying that by the amount of time it's rolling for. That's why long putts break more than short putts, because it's rolling for longer. So with Aimpoint, we're just trying to estimate how much side tilt there is, and then the fingers are a conversion tool that convert that slope number into a mathematically correct aim point. So if you think it's breaking like across a 2% slope and you hold up two fingers, that will give you a mathematically correct aim point, and it scales with the length of the putt. So whether you're at 10 feet or 30 feet, because when you hold up your fingers, you're creating a launch angle basically off your eyes, and that scales with distance. So I don't need to know how long the putt is. If you were not using Aimpoint, you would have to know that a 10-foot putt, 11-foot putt, and a 12-foot putt all have different breaks. And so you'd have to know the side tilt and exactly how long the putt is, which nobody is particularly good at. And with Aimpoint, you take that away from the equation. We don't need to know how long the putt is. We just need to know how much side tilt there is. Some idea of speed, but really the amount of side tilt is what changes from putt to putt.
Okay, so this sounds a little controversial. You don't need to know the distance, you just need to know the speed. Can you explain that?
Yes, technically, if you were writing a computer program to predict break, which I did, you'd have to know how much side tilt, the length of the putt, the green speed, wind and grain, and how hard you want to hit the hole with. You got all these factors going on. Now, let's assume the green speed is fairly constant. Let's assume how hard you're going to hit it into the hole is fairly constant. Then you would technically need to know amount of side tilt, length of putt. With Aimpoint, we don't need to know the length of the putt because the fingers automatically are converting that amount of slope over that length, because it's giving you a visual of where the correct aim is. So all we're really doing with Aimpoint from putt to putt is saying how much side slope is this ball rolling across. There are some adjustments for uphill, downhill speed and green speed and things like that. You can adjust for that, but those shouldn't change dramatically from putt to putt, other than uphill, downhill in some situations. You're really just constantly evaluating how much slope am I putting across, which is really what you're doing when you're looking up and down the line. What you're trying to do when you look up and down the line is figure out side slope. Well, we just do it with our feet because it's 100 times more accurate. It's on the path of the putt where the ball's actually touching the ground, and it's not subject to optical illusions.
There's no doubt that the eyes play a lot of tricks on you. Maybe I'm not, maybe I'm not fully understanding this one point, but I need to have an idea, obviously, if it's a 20-foot putt or a 10-foot putt, because I have an idea of my stroke distance. And whether or not I'm letting the ball die into the hole or I'm just ramming it in with speed. I'm assuming I have to take that into consideration as well when I'm figuring out what to do before I pull the trigger on the actual putt.
Yeah, for speed control, you need to have some idea of length, kind of. But yes, you need to know whether it's long or shorter for speed control. Obviously, all 20-foot putts are not created equal, depending on uphill, downhill, grain, things like that. Now, as far as your capture speed, whether you die it in or whether you're jamming it, you should never be jamming it in the hole. Your speed should always be between, we always say 6 inches to maximum 2 feet by the hole. Unless you're hitting a lag putt. A lag putt, we're just trying to get as close as possible. I don't care if it's short, long, that's kind of your dead weight speed. But 20 feet in, you really want everything kind of 6 inches to 2 feet. You really shouldn't be changing that, because if you hit it harder than 2 feet by, A, you've introduced 3 putts. B, you've introduced lip outs. You got loads of lip outs at 3 foot by speed, which we don't want. And obviously, we don't want to introduce 3 putts if we don't have to. So the difference in aim between hitting at a foot by and 2 feet by is less than an inch. I mean, it's just a minute adjustment. It's not a big adjustment. You see a lot of people, they get match play and they say, well, I must make this. I'm going to hit it really hard. And they take off too much break and they hit it low and hard. And then it's 4 feet by the hole. Well, unless they hit the dead center of the hole, I would have lipped out anyway. Right. So we're really training people to have consistent speed all the time up to 20-ish feet. Should really be the same speed, whether it's 3 feet or 10 feet or 20 feet. It's only on lag putts where you kind of back off on that a little bit.